All right, so here we are, we're outside Perth Police Station, and we are here because we have invited Acting Superintendent Trovarello to come down and answer some questions. While we're here waiting for him, we told him that we'd be here from 8 a.m. till 12 noon. We gave him 3 or 4 days notice, and we were responding to an email that he wrote to us, which said, "Good afternoon. As per previous correspondence from this office, the standing invitation to meet with Acting Superintendent Trovarello at the Perth Police Complex remains open and at your convenience. Please advise of a date and a time agreeable to you, and Acting Superintendent Trovarello will ensure that time is set aside to meet with you." Well, we have told him the time. We have told him the date. We have come to him because previously he has refused to come and meet me on site. I've invited him to meet him on site at the location, which he has refused to grant me a permit. We had an interesting little protest on Tuesday last week where we replicated the conditions of the procession that Wapol refused. And we were able to demonstrate last Tuesday, and it's up on Max Freedom, that there was no safety breaches, there was no danger to ourselves, there was no danger to, we never put anyone else in jeopardy, and we also never delayed a vehicle for a single second. All those things that the Acting Superintendent Trovarello, and we've got a seat for him, reserved for Acting Superintendent Trovarello. So if he wants to come down, I want him to be comfortable. We've got a mic and we can sit down, we can just have a conversation like normal people. So we will see if he actually will keep his word and he will actually come out and actually speak to us, because we would like to think that police officers do keep their word, but we will find out if that is the case today. There's a big CCTV camera up there. I'm sure they've got people watching us. So I'll just go up there to make sure that they know I am here. I know I told them I'd be here, and but they'll be watching us, I'm sure. And perhaps then they'll say, "Oh, sir, he's down there, he's ready. You can go down and talk to him now." So I'll just go up there and show him the good sign about the big boss and what kind of person his big boss was. You know, man looks at the outward appearance, but we are interested in what's going on in the heart. The other day, we basically showed with our little protest, our safety demonstration, that it was safe to cross a footpath and a low intensity car park, which we did a count over the 2 hours. We did time lapse and we did a count, and there was 97 vehicles which crossed that car park entrance in a total of 2 hours. So 60 minutes in an hour, 2 times 60, 120, and 97 in 120 minutes, which means there's less than one vehicle per minute. I think that's pretty safe, that we can navigate a car park or a driveway which only one vehicle per minute enters. And to be honest, it is excellent visibility, unlike the car park on Hay Street, which we also did a video of, and that was quite a lot busier, okay? And the visibility was poor at that location, where the visibility at the council house car park was very good. But we did identify some safety concerns while we were there, didn't we? We did. We noticed, we'll start at the start, there was people who were crossing the busy St George Terrace with lots and lots of buses there, and they were not crossing at the traffic lights, were they? Not at all. In fact, we had the very disappointing, if I might say, the very disappointing example of a senior ranger or manager or I think he calls him the coordinator of the rangers, safety, what do they call them? Safe City Rangers. He did not cross at the traffic lights. Notice Ranger Terrell's crossing the road without traffic lights. That's what City Rangers do. They cross the road when there's no traffic lights. Fancy that. He took a risk. He had to dodge the cars and the buses which were travelling at 40, 50 kilometres an hour, where we only had to navigate cars travelling at 3 to 5 kilometres an hour. So that wasn't good at all. And unfortunately, we know that some other people also crossed St George's Terrace, but not at the traffic lights. Perhaps they spotted Tyrrell and followed his example, thinking, well, after all, here's a safe city ranger. If it's okay for him not to cross at the traffic lights, when the traffic lights are only 10 metres away, he actually deliberately walked past the traffic lights. He avoided the traffic lights just so that he could avoid seeing me, because he has, like a lot of people in this building, Stuart derangement syndrome, which is commonly known as SDS. All right, so that was the first thing that we noticed. We also noticed that there were people on their e-scooters who were not wearing a helmet. Scooter with no helmet on, of course. Yep. Now we know that the police get very, very annoyed, and they manhandle people if they don't wear a helmet, okay? Especially if they're standing outside Government House, because they get treated differently to everyone else. If you stand outside Government House, you will be treated differently. They'll place their big hands on you and arrest you simply for not wearing a helmet. And what's worse, then they'll give you a move-on notice.
2006, section 27, I order you to leave and go beyond and stay away from and stay beyond the area bounded by Riverside Drive, Barrack Street, Wellington Street, Victoria Square and Victoria Avenue in Perth. And I order you to obey the above order until 10 a.m. tomorrow, which is the 1st of the 1st, 2025. If you do not obey this order, you may be liable to a fine of $12,000 and imprisonment for 12 months. The reason you're getting this is that you would just commit the offence of cyclists who fail to wear a helmet.
Which has a possible 1-year imprisonment sentence if you don't follow the move-on notice, just for not wearing the helmet. So it's gone from a $50 fine for not wearing a helmet on a bicycle to 1 year in prison. That's called escalation. That's what these people do. That's what they do under this man's leadership. These move-on notices are an absolute crime against humanity. It's police escalation. It's an absolute shameful act. Okay, but we did notice at least one scooter driver not wearing a helmet, and also they were travelling too fast. Do you know, I looked it up the other day, and you're only allowed to travel 10 kilometres per hour on the footpath. And there's more than one who are travelling faster than that. They, according to police, should all be arrested. and perhaps manhandled and perhaps give on move on notices, because that seems to be the way, because they were pretty close to Government House, okay? If you're close to Government House, it's sort of like an area where you're more likely to get a move on notice than anywhere else in the whole of Perth, okay? All right, so here we are. That was the other thing, and what else was there? Oh yeah, oh baby. So we were watched by these two policemen. They came to watch us, I think. I think that's the reason they were there. And they were, when they rode up to us, you can see it on the time-lapse video as well as the other video, that one of the policemen was actually riding his bike and talking on his mobile phone at the same time. 2 more times. That is bad. That is real bad. You know, he should be getting an infringement notice, because it says in the code that riding your bicycle, a bicycle is considered the same as a vehicle, okay? And there is no excuse for using a mobile phone, okay? So you can press the button to answer a call, but if that's on, it's on a fixed, it's already fixed up. But to pick it up and then to actually talk on it means that he actually broke the law. It'll be interesting to know whether the police will actually prosecute him for using his phone illegally, and we want to know why didn't the other police officer arrest him? Why didn't he arrest his mate? Well, we do know that there's rules for thee and there's rules for me. So we have been waiting for Acting Superintendent Trovarello for over an hour now, and it's been a no-show. No-show, even though we gave him 4 days' notice that we would be here, even though he said he'd set aside time to meet us. He did not come out thus far. He may still come. I've checked my emails. There's no messages. Emails from a waypole just confirm a time. So it looks like he's going to pike it. He's going to be a piker. But we will wait a little bit longer and we'll see what happens. So there are 2 upcoming State Administrative Tribunal court cases coming up. The first one is on the 24th of January. And that's in conjunction with the Free Speech Union. So they and myself are questioning the conditions, 4 conditions on protests in the Forest Place and the malls. And the 4 are they just saying that I have to be there, otherwise the protest has to be cancelled. So I could get sick on the day and they're saying, oh no, the protest would have to be cancelled. That's ridiculous. Secondly, they're saying I can't hand out leaflets to anyone under 17. We're going to argue that it's against the law to discriminate to people politically for that reason. Also, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, you could read the content of the pamphlet to them. You could actually have a QR code and they could scan the QR code and obtain the pamphlet that way, but you're not physically able to hand it to them. You see, these people don't talk it through. They never discuss it with the stakeholders. They just make up these silly little rules, and the only way you can question them is by taking them to the SAT. And it's only because I took them to the SAT previously in September and won, and that forces them to approve my protests 3 months in advance. Well, they're not even doing that. They have instructions to do that, but they're not doing it. That's the kind of people that they are. They don't listen to the instructions from the State Administrative Tribunal. But anyway, they've got these two cases. The first is on the 24th of January. That's coming up pretty soon. And so those were two conditions. The other one was regarding not being able to use amplified sound, and that's ridiculous as well. We'll win that. And the last one is they say we have to abide by all the council bylaws, which would mean everyone who wants to hold a sign would have to pay a $99 fee to hold the sign. So if there's 1,000 people at the protest, 1,000 times $100,000 to hold a protest, because of this silly little bylaw, which they only, this condition which they only introduced on the 22nd of November. Again, there was no consultation with the public, and the only way that I can get them to overturn it, because they won't come out and talk to me. They refuse to talk to me, as you can see. Nobody's coming out to talk to us, and they actually wrote an email to me and said, we will not engage in any discussion or conversation with regard to your application. So that's the kind of people that are at Wapol. They're a law unto themselves, and they don't care what anyone thinks. And the only way to get them to answer any questions is to take them to the State Administrative Tribunal, which cost me hundreds of dollars, by the way. So we will continue waiting.
He was in a hurry.
Yeah, he wanted to get away from the truth, you know. No, we don't want to hear the truth.
Time to unite, isn't it? Time to unite the people power. Hey? Thanks, sister.
Well, we are here outside Perth Police Station, as we know, and we notice that this vehicle, this police vehicle here, is actually in a non-standing area. Now, the reason that it is a non-standing zone is because it's considered a safety issue. And we saw two policemen walk out of this vehicle and into that door over there. I must say they were quite friendly, but they have placed their car in a no standing zone. We have seen vehicles parked outside Government House towed away in a flash if they are parked in a no standing zone. It doesn't appear that this is an emergency. This is not an emergency situation that calls for this vehicle to be placed here. We know they've got underground car parking behind the building. So they've just placed this vehicle here in a no standing zone. It's probably not setting a good example for the general public. That seems to be a pattern with West Australian Police. Rules for thee and rules for me. Hey, how you doing?
What's happening this morning?
Well, we're doing a protest, and also we've also got an invitation to.
Hello.
Hello.
Morning.
Morning.
Hi, my name's Stuart. What's your name? Dwayne.
Yeah. So,
And you're a sergeant, eh?
yeah, what are you doing?
Okay, so we have been invited by Acting Superintendent Trovarello to come down here to Perth Police Complex and to have a conversation with him. And I gave him 4 days' notice, and he said he'd make himself available to meet me.
What are you protesting about?
Well, actually, I'm here because I've put in a number of applications for protest. I've got 2 upcoming State Administrative Tribunal hearings, which I'm taking the Commissioner of Police to court.
About here at Perth Police Station.
Well, the main purpose today is to wait for Acting Superintendent Trovarello. The protest is, while we're here, we're trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, okay? So while we're waiting, we thought we'd have a bit of a protest about your big boss, this guy here,
The Commissioner.
the Commissioner.
Oh yeah, I recognise that one.
Yeah. So, in South Australia, they let all the unjabbed, unvaxxed officers back to work, but we think it's the wrong thing for him and the previous commissioner. It wasn't just him, but it was Chris Dawson.
Yes.
And also Cole Blanche to say, if you didn't take the jab, we're not going to let you back to work, unlike in South Australia where they were allowed back at work. So we just don't think that's the right thing to do.
60 police officers.
There was 160 police officers in South Australia that were allowed back to work.
Wow.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Well, probably half the police force over there.
Well, I think they have a bit more. I used to live in South Australia, so I think they have a few more than 160, but it's a significant number. It's huge, it is. So we didn't think that was right. In fact, we took the Chief Commissioner to the Supreme Court, and they made a decision that the officers were coerced. They didn't have bodily autonomy, was respected by the police.
Read that. Respectful finding. So you're not so much worried about the police officers, it's just the fact that the government made these people try and get vaccinations. So you
Well, I mean, they're...
didn't have to doctors or butchers, would it?
Well,
It's
Silver Chain has still got the mandates in force, so you can't get a job with Silver Chain unless you...
But you're not protesting about Silver Chain, are you? Choosing police.
Well, it's...
So you're on the footpath protesting with a permit, is that right?
Well, you don't need a permit to conduct a protest in WA.
Really?
Yeah, it says under the Public Order and Streets Act, 1984, it says you may apply for a permit. So we do not have a waypole permit to be here today, and we actually don't need one.
Right.
So that's why they obviously know we're here because we've been here for a couple of hours. They've obviously seen us, and nobody's...
Talking to the police car and taking photos of them, and obviously we get a little bit suspicious when people approach and...
Oh, that car was parking in a non-standing area.
White one. So,
Well-
your own personal cars here? Are you taking up these bays?
Well, that's not relevant. So,
Oh, well, let's have a look then and see. That's the question. You haven't any practice?
did someone ask you to come out here?
double standards, mate. Double standards.
How do you know? How do you know the car? How do you? Well, you're walking away. I've got some things to say to you.
He works for City of Perth now.
Okay, so here we are outside Perth Police Station. We've been waiting more than a couple of hours for Acting Superintendent Trovarello to come up, and he said he'd be here, but he did not keep his word, and he is gone missing in action. Okay, so I've checked my emails. I sent a reminder this morning, yesterday, Friday, that we would be out here, and we would accept his invitation to meet at Perth Police Complex, and he's a no-show. Did not show up. So maybe he doesn't know how to answer the questions. So I like to be helpful. So I've got a few questions here. We may not go through every one, but I'm going to give him some suggested answers, so that if he doesn't know how to answer them, he can say, "Oh, that's right, Stuart's got the best answer." So I think it's because they don't want to answer the questions. They're like Superintendent Manus Walsh, who just refuses to answer questions. So, well, this is some helpful suggested answers, so that then they can arrange another time for me to come out here and then say, yes, we agree with that, yes, we agree with that, that's a good point, and so on. All right, I think we'll wind it up there. There are more questions, and if Acting Superintendent Trovarello was down here, I would ask him lots more questions. But I think those are helpful suggested answers which will help him realise how to answer those questions correctly. All right, so that will do it for today. We notice his absence, and he's not apologised. No one's come down to say he's busy. He had other things on. No, he's just, as they've ignored those other 25 emails that I wrote to them, they also ignored my invitation to meet me down at Government House and Council House, and they've ignored my acceptance of his invitation to come down and meet him at this building here. So there you have it. That's Waypole for you. When they say that they're happy to meet, they're not. When they say they'll make themselves available, they won't. And this is what we're dealing with. This is why I'm having to spend hundreds of dollars taking them to the State Administrative Tribunal instead of them actually being open, accountable and transparent. So we will get them on the witness stand, and when they're on the witness stand and being cross-examined, we'll see which questions the member will allow them to dodge, because I'm going to ask the majority of those questions, and let's see then if they're going to give their answers, "Oh, that's operational," or we can't answer that question. We will see. And we're going to invite the press. The press will be there, and they'll be taking notes, and we're going to get this into the media. So thank you for coming out today. I don't know where Aussie's gone. Going to get another cuppa. We've had an interesting conversation with the sergeant there, who didn't realise that 160 unvaxxed officers were allowed back at work in South Australia, and it was a good day. So thank you for coming, and we'll look forward to seeing this on the Max Freedom channel in a couple of days. Thanks for coming. Thanks everyone.